Well, good morning. All right, so before we get started, if you have any questions about any of the postures that I'm doing while we're practicing, feel free to put them down in the comments and I'll get to it right at the end of the practice. Since I'm running this whole thing myself, there won't be any way for me to answer your questions during the practice. But if you stick around and you want an answer right after, then I can answer it after we're done practicing. So if you are ready to start, go ahead and head over to your mat and I'll meet you there. All right, so we'll start in a seated position today. Go ahead and come into a seat that feels comfortable for you. I like to start cross-legged, but you might decide to sit up on your heels, for example. If this is all right for your knees and your hips, you might sit on your heels. You might be sitting directly on the floor or up on a cushion. Just take a moment to settle into your spot. And start with a few slightly deeper breaths in and out through the nose. Of course, if you are congested, then certainly breathe through your mouth, but breathe in and out through your nose if you can. All right, we'll bring our palms together in front of the heart. And then we'll just interlace our fingers, press the palms forward and up toward the ceiling. And then just start to reach up through one hand and up through the other side. Left and right a few times, reaching, drawing down a little bit on the fingers. You feel a bit of a stretch on the inside of your palms and your fingers. Sensing down into each arm, shoulder, side of the body. So depending on what time of day it is when you're watching this, you might just be waking up or you might be kind of winding down the rest of your day. So check in with how you are feeling and feel free to skip or modify or change anything that we're doing if it doesn't quite feel right for your body. All right, as you release your next breath, release your hands all the way down. And then we'll just walk this right hand out a little bit and lean into it. Take the left hand to the left shoulder and start to rotate. We'll take a few circles in one direction. And a few circles the opposite way. All right, sweep your left hand all the way up and over. And then start to squeeze and release your fingers. We'll rotate through the wrist a few times each way. All right, the next time you breathe in, lift up. And as you breathe out, release your left hand down. And walk it out a little bit. Right hand comes to the right shoulder and start to rotate. A few times in one direction. And a few times the opposite way. All right, sweep your right hand all the way up and over. Begin to squeeze and release the fingers a few times, as well as rotate through your wrist. All right, and then inhale, lift up. Exhale, release your hand down. All right, so we'll shift onto hands and knees. When you come onto your hands and knees, if your knees are sensitive to whatever surface you're practicing on, if you've got a blanket, you might put it underneath your knees just for a little bit of extra support. We'll take our hands to shoulder distance apart, knees about hip distance apart. And then as you breathe in, just let your belly drop, lifting your head and your tailbone. As you breathe out, tuck your tail under, round your back. Bring your chin toward your chest. Do that a few times. Inhale, drop the belly. Lift your head and tail. Exhale, tuck and round. Again, inhale, belly drops. Head and tail lift up. Exhale, tuck and round. All right, one more time, breathing in. And breathing out. All right, when you come back to neutral this time, we'll untuck the toes if they were tucked so that the tops of the feet can come down to the floor, and then just sit back towards the heels. So we won't stay here long, but we'll move in between that hands and knees position we were just in and this version of child's pose. So with your arms extended forward and your palms pressing down and all of your fingers pressing down, pull yourself back up to hands and knees. So really push your hands down and feel your shoulders engage as you pull yourself back up. It's almost as though your hands want to pull toward your knees. So you're pushing down with your hands to pull yourself back up onto hands and knees. All right, so inhale to hands and knees. Exhale, sit back towards your heels. We'll do this a few times. Just go at your own speed. Inhales to hands and knees. Exhales to this version of child's pose. Really feel your arms and hands and shoulders engage to pull you forward and push you back. 2 more. All right, 1 more breath. All right, the next time that you inhale and come up onto hands and knees, now we'll tuck our toes under, lift the knees and pause. So your knees are maybe just an inch off the floor, and it depends on your leg length perhaps. And then drop your knees back down. Take some attention to your low back. Now, what happens for some of us when we come into this position with our knees lifted is that the low back wants to round toward the ceiling. But try to keep your tailbone going slightly up and your lower back dropping slightly down. So one of the ways that you can help support the back side of the torso is a little bit of engagement of the front side of the torso. That's kind of an oversimplification, but feel a little bit of engagement of the belly as you press your hands down with your toes tucked and just lift your knees a small amount. All right, now from here, keep lifting, send your tailbone up into the air. And release to your knees. And sit back towards your feet. All right, so adding to this, inhale to hands and knees. Exhale, tuck your toes, lift your knees, and then head all the way up to downward dog. Inhale back to hands and knees, nice and slow. Untuck your toes, exhale, this version of child's pose. All right, inhale, pull yourself to hands and knees. Exhale, tuck your toes, lift your knees, pause, and then lift all the way up to downward dog. Inhale, hands and knees, real slow. Exhale, sit back towards your feet. 1 more, inhale, hands and knees. Exhale, tuck the toes, lift up. All right, this time as you inhale to hands and knees, and exhale and sit back towards your feet. Now we'll take our hands back near the feet. Now if this is not comfortable for your body to take your hands back toward your feet, you might just stay on your elbows, but just simply give your hands and wrists a little bit of a break here. You have a bolster. Another way you can support your body. Let the knees be apart. Lay over on the bolster in any way that's comfortable for you. Just take 3 breaths. All right, so after your 3rd breath, once again, pull yourself back up onto hands and knees. Now this time we'll take our knees nice and close together. Lift the left knee up and out to the side, and then start to rotate through your hip. A couple of big circles in one direction. And a few circles the opposite way. All right, as you inhale, reach your left leg back. Exhale, pull your left knee into your chest and round your back. Again, inhale, left leg back. Exhale, knee into the chest. And one more, breathing in. And breathing out. So as you take your left leg back this time, just keep it lifted, reaching back through the bottom of the foot, but also sensing the back of your left leg, pressing up. So there's a sense of engagement of the muscles on the back side of your left leg. And then slowly, if it feels all right today, take your right arm forward. This starts to add an element of balance challenge. But if that's too much, just keep your hand closer to the floor or palm all the way down where you started, just focusing on the left leg. Either way, 3 breaths. All right, as you take your right hand down to the floor, now we'll step this left foot forward to the left hand. Scoot the right knee back just a little bit here as we walk both hands up onto the left thigh. Now what your lunge looks like is going to be highly dependent on how often you lunge, what it feels like in your ankles, your knees, your hips. So your front knee might go past your ankle, it might not. Just feel into your body and sense what feels good. If you have blocks, it can also be helpful to put blocks underneath your hands here, just for a little bit of arm lengthening. We'll take 3 breaths here, letting the hips drop down, but gently engage your abdominals to provide some support on the front of the body. All right, after your 3rd breath, take the hands back down to the floor. Take your left leg back. As you come back to hands and knees, tuck your toes. Again, as you lift your knees, just pause. Remember, your low back is dropping slightly towards the floor. Your tailbone is lifting slightly. All right, and take your hips all the way up. All right, release down to your knees. Take the knees close together. This time it's the right knee lifting up and out to the side. And then just start to rotate through your hip. A couple of times in one direction. And then a few times the opposite way. All right, as you next breathe in, reach the right foot back. Exhale, right knee into the chest. And inhale, reach back. Exhale, knee into the chest. One more like that, breathing in. And breathing out. As you take your right leg back this time, just keep it lifted. So you're reaching back through the foot, and you're slightly pressing up. So the back side of that right leg and hip are strongly engaged. And then optional to add your left arm going forward. Again, this adds a little element of balance challenge. So if your left hand needs to stay down or closer to the floor, totally fine. All right, now as we all release that left hand to the floor, we'll step the right foot forward to the right hand. Scoot the left knee back a little bit here. Walk the hands up to the front thigh. And again, what your lunge looks like is going to depend on how you use your body, whether you lunge a lot, how it feels in your ankle, your knee, your hip. And again, if you have blocks, feel free to use them underneath your hands here for a little bit of arm length support. All right, take 3 deep breaths. All right, after your 3rd breath, hands come back to the floor. Right leg back. Once again, tuck your toes, lift your knees and paws. Remember that low back is dropping down, tailbone lifting slightly. And then lift your hips all the way up. From here, this time we'll walk our hands and feet toward each other. Walk your hands back towards your feet. Take all the weight into your feet. Now, for some of us, it might be okay to fold with straight legs. For some of us, it might feel better for the low back to take the feet nice and wide. Bend your knees. Grab a hold of your ankles or blocks. And release the weight of your head. Let the head shake out a few times, yes and no. All right, and then slowly crawl your hands up the fronts of your legs, rising up to stand. So we'll do a standing breathing practice that energizes the body. This one's called Breath of Joy. So you'll be breathing in 3 times and out 1 time. So as you're inhaling, you'll take arms forward for the first inhale, and then out for the second inhale, and then all the way up for the 3rd inhale. Then as you exhale, you'll bend your knees, sweep your arms back, and exhale out your mouth. So when you're exhaling, you kind of want to be in this bent leg stance. So go ahead and bend your knees, bend at your hips so that you can feel that position. All right, so that'll be your exhale with the arms going back. All right, so 1 round of it looks like this. I'll show you one and then we'll do several together. All right, so forward, out, up, and then exhale with the arms going down and back. All right, so we'll do roughly 10 to 15 of these breaths, although every time I do it, I lose count. So we'll just go until I think it's about 10 or 15. All right, so make sure that you're standing in a way that you feel very grounded. So for many of us, if we're standing with our feet right together, it's a little bit less grounding than feet a little wider apart, maybe hip distance or slightly wider. So start about there. All right, have some softness in your knees, and let's begin. All right, last one. Now go ahead and stay about halfway folded with your knees bent and your forearms just resting on your thighs. Allow your energy to settle here. This often makes me feel like a paperweight that's been shook up, and I just need some time for the energy to settle, the snowflakes to settle. Just relax. All right, slowly come back on up to stand, and then step near the back of your mat. All right, so that position that we were coming into on each exhale, where the knees are bent and you're bent also at your hips, I'm gonna come in and out of that position a few times. So as you know, inhale, begin to squat, so push your hips back, bend your knees, take your arms up. And then as you exhale, come back to stand, but do it by pressing into your heels. So you feel the back side of your legs engage as you really push through your heels and release your arms down. All right, again, inhale, push the hips back, bend the knees, float your arms up. Exhale as you push through your heels, rise up, release the arms, but now also reach the arms way back as far as they can go. A couple more times. Inhale, slowly bend, reaching up. Press through the heels, exhale, rising up, reach back. All right, two more. Reaching back, last one. Press through the heels, exhale, rise up. All right, now take your hands together behind your back and interlace your fingers. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, open up across the chest. Turn your head side to side. All right, and then reach the chin up. And drop it down. Again, lifting up. And dropping down. One more lifting up. And dropping down. All right, as you bring your head to neutral, release your arms. Take them out and up. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, fold forward. Bend your knees a little bit as you come back into your forward fold. Release the weight of the head. Again, shake it yes and no. All right, start to walk your hands forward. So we'll come into one more downward facing dog. Hips up into the air. All right, and then release down to your knees. Come into our seated position as we began. So we'll close in this way. But as you come into your seated position, it can again be any version of seat that you like. Whether you're sitting cross-legged or sitting on your heels or sitting on a block like I am. So we'll do one more breathing practice here. This one's a little bit more balancing. So we've raised the energy a little bit in our bodies. Maybe you're a little warm even from what we've done today. But this breathing practice is called Nadi Shodhana, or alternate nostril breathing. So the essential quality of it is that you're breathing in through one nostril and then out through the opposite nostril. Then you breathe in through that nostril, out through the opposite. Now we take the index and middle fingers in toward the palm so that we have the thumb and the ring finger to block the nostrils so that you're breathing in through one side only and then out through the opposite. So I'm going to use my right hand, but on camera it probably looks like my left hand. So go ahead and use your right hand. Take your right thumb to your right nostril. All right, and then inhale through your left side. Close off the left, open the right, and exhale through your right nostril. Inhale, right side. Close it off, open left, exhale. Inhale, left. Close it off, open the right, and exhale. Inhale, right side. Switch, exhale, left. Inhale, left. Switch, exhale, right. Inhale, right. Switch, exhale, left. Inhale, left. Switch, exhale, right. Last one, inhale, right. Switch, exhale, left. And then release your right hand down so that you can pause a moment and just sense back inside your body. And so no matter the length of your practice, there's usually something subtle that shifts. So see if you can notice what has shifted within your body, your mind, your heart. All right, and now we'll draw our palms together in front of our hearts, acknowledging the light within ourselves as well as each other. Thank you. Thanks again for practicing with me today. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down in the comments and I will respond. So these energizing practices will be on Wednesdays and Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Anywhere between 30 minutes, on occasion up to an hour, but I'll kind of always put it on the thumbnail how long it's going to be so that you have proper expectations. And then Sunday night at 8 p.m., I'm going to do a more chill, mellow practice to kind of send you off to dreamland, to sleep. So energizing on Wednesday, Saturday mornings, mellow practice on Sunday night at 8. See you next time. Bye.